Welcome back. In this session, we're going to move forward from the foundational concepts covered in the previous video to a more practical and detailed look at how the chart of accounts is structured and managed within Business Central. I'll be focusing on the GL account card key settings you need to understand, best practices for designing a chart of accounts, the role of subcategories, and finally, how to upload a chart of accounts using configuration packages. So let's start with the structure of the chart of accounts. Okay, so here we are in the chart of accounts. Now, a common mistake is to overcomplicate the structure in the chart of accounts by creating too many accounts. In reality, a well-designed chart of accounts should be simple, logical, and aligned to the reporting needs of the business. So when designing the chart of accounts, always start with reporting in mind. Ask yourself, what does a business actually need to see? So you would need to consult with the finance users and establish what their reporting requirements are. It's best to use a logical numbering system, for example, for grouping assets, liabilities, income, and expenses into defined ranges. This makes the chart of accounts much easier to navigate. So if you look here, I've used 10,000 for the income, 20,000 for cost of goods sold, 30,000 for expenses, and then we've got the 40,000, which gives us a balance sheet range, which is fixed assets, current assets, and then we move on to the liability sections, which is the 50,000 range, ending with the capital and reserves, which is the 60,000 range. So as you can see, this provides a logical structure. So if you need to create a new account, say for example in creditors, you know that it's going to go into 50,000 range, and you could create a new account in between these numbers here. It's always good to leave a gap between the numbers, so you can add new accounts as required. So the chart of account should answer the question, what is the nature of the transaction? So if it's sales, and if you need more details on that, you should use dimensions, whereas dimensions would then answer the questions, where, why, or for whom did this transaction occur? The next column, we have the name column. So this is a description, obviously, of what the account is. So for example, here we've got sales. So we've got UK sales, in Europe, European sales. We've got finished goods and labour. And then we've got the various expenses. So we've got advertising, depreciation, directors' salaries, employees' NI, and so on. The next column is the net change column. This is used in conjunction with the date filter. So if I just click on the filter column here, with filter totals by here, add a filter, and it gives us a date filter. So what you would do here is enter a date, say for example the 1st of January to the end of January, and this column then would display the columns within that date range. At the moment, obviously there's no transactions in there, but if there were, Business Central would just show you the transactions within that particular date range. The next column is the balance column. This would show you the balance in Business Central at the current date. So it would show transactions from the beginning of the financial year to whatever date today's date is. We next move on to the account categories, which we spoke about in the previous video. So again, there's 5 of these. So these are the standard account categories, which are income, cost of goods sold, expenses, assets, liabilities, and equity. So these are set in Business Central. You can't add to these or take away to these. So these are just for structural purposes. Next, we have the account types. So here you can see the first one here is the heading. Now, the heading is used to group accounts together. I've just used 2 types of headings here. One for the income statement and one for the balance sheet. So you can't post to heading accounts, but they're just there to help with the structure of the chart of accounts. We follow on then with a begin total, which needs a corresponding end total. So what these do is they will add all the posting accounts in between a begin total and an end total. So a begin total marks the start of the totaling range, and an end total signifies the end of a total range. So anything in between that will be added up automatically. Again, you can't post to a begin total or an end total account. The next account I have here is a posting account. Now, the posting accounts are the ones that actually deal with the transactions. So this is the only type of account you can actually post transactions to, either via a journal or a source document. And the final account type is the totaling account, which I've got one here. So this is a user-defined range. You do this by going to the GL account card. So you manually type in the account range that you want to total. So in this case, we've got from 10,000 to 3,500 to calculate the net profit. So what Business Central will do, it will add up all the accounts within that range, excluding the other totaling accounts. So it will not include end totals and begin totals in there. It will only add the posting accounts. The next column I wanted to show you was the account subcategory column. In Business Central, you can organize your GL accounts not only by categories, but also by account subcategories. Subcategories add an extra level of detail, helping you better structure your financial data. This setup is important because it defines how accounts appear in financial reports like the balance sheet and income statement. You assign both categories and subcategories on the GL account categories page or on the GL account card, which I will show you next. To create a new GL account, we simply go to New, and this opens a blank GL account card. On the number series, we need to enter a unique identifier. It can be a combination of both numbers and letters, up to 20 characters, but most people just use numbers, although I have seen people use an alphanumeric identifier in the past. In our case, we'll enter the number 31410 because I want to create a new expense account. Next is the name. This can be up to 100 characters. We'll call this one Legal Expenses. Tab that through. Next, we have the option of the income or the balance sheet. Because it's an expense, obviously this will be in the income statement. It's important to remember though, once you actually started posting transactions to the account, you don't want to change this over to a balance sheet or vice versa. We then have the account categories. Now, the account category in this case will put an expense. I've discussed these earlier on in the video. Then we come to the account subcategories, where the account categories are predefined in Business Central. The subcategories can be modified and added to by yourself when required. So if I just click in here, you'll see that the subcategories have already been filtered to the expense ones that comes out of the box with Business Central. And what we need to do is create another one for legal expenses. And the way to do this, if you click Edit List, just click here anywhere you want the new account to appear. Click on the three dots, click New, and just enter the name. So it's as simple and straightforward as that. We can then press OK to that. And now we have a new subcategory called Legal Expenses. The debit and credit, you have the option here of either both debit or credit. This signifies what the typical transactions will be in this account, and for our purposes, we'll put both. The account type we discussed earlier on in the video. We have posting, heading, total, begin total, or end total. In our case, because it's an expense, we will use posting. The total account is only used when we select the account type total, so it's not relevant here. The balance, this just shows you the balance on the account. The reconciliation account, if you make this account a reconciliation account, what this will do, it will allow you to see the effects of a journal prior to posting the journal and after posting the journal. It's quite a handy function, especially if you're doing year-end account journals. Automatic extended text, what this does is when you use this account, the extended text that you enter will appear as a comment on the particular document that you are using. It's handy when you want to put anything like special terms and instructions on a document. The direct posting, what this allows you to do is it allows you to enable or disable direct postings to this account. So if you've got a control account, or if this account is linked to a posting groups, you need to turn the direct posting account switch off. All postings to this account should be via a subledger. The blocked function, this basically, as it says, will block the account. This is my preferred method rather than deleting account, because if you block account, the account is still available for reporting purposes, especially if you want to have reports on a historical basis. The last date modified is obviously last date modified, and the default description in a journal switch. This, as it says, will omit the default description when you are preparing a journal, so that field will be blank and you can enter anything that you need. Moving on to the general posting tab, here is where we can configure the default settings for this particular account when it's used in a journal. We have the general posting type, which can be either a purchase or a sales. In this case, because it's expenses, we'll choose purchase. We have a general business posting group, which will be linked to the VAT posting group. So if I enter domestic, and that's basically because I've set it up that way when I set up the general business posting group. The same goes for the general product posting group. So if I select retail, it'll automatically calculate the VAT product posting group. Now, the VAT posting group and the VAT product posting group are used when this account is used in a journal. If this account is used by a vendor or a customer, but most likely a vendor in this case, the VAT business posting group and VAT product posting group on the vendor card will override the settings here. Now, the remaining accounts are to do with intercompany and withholding tax, which I'll cover in a later video. Same with the revaluation, consolidation, reporting, cost accounting pass tabs. Okay, we can now move on to loading the chart of accounts via a configuration package. First of all, I'll just take you to the chart of accounts. As you can see here, there's nothing loaded at the moment. So to find what table we actually need to load the chart of accounts, we can press Control, Alt, and F1 on our keyboard, and that will actually give you the number of the table that we need to load in our configuration package. So now if we go to the configuration package page, click on that, and there's no packages in the system at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll create a new one. So we simply click on New, and we'll give the package a code. Call it Chart of Accounts, COA, and tab that through. Now we've created a new package there. We can leave the rest of the fields blank. Now we need to actually load the table that we identified earlier, which was table number 15. We could just type it in here, but if you didn't know the number of the table, we can press on the three dots here and use the search function to find the particular table. So it's the GL table. So they are GL accounts table number 15. Press OK to that. We'll tab that through and press the next line to load the table name and the table fields. So now we have table 15 in the configuration package. As you can see, the number of fields available are 48, but we don't actually need 48 tables. It's good practice just to filter the package to the table that you actually need. So to do that, we go to Table, Fields, and now this brings up a list of all the fields that are included in the configuration package. Now we don't need all these fields, so what we can do is clear included, and we can pick and choose the fields that we actually want included in the configuration package. So what we can do is we will need the number, which is a primary key, so that's always selected. We'll have the name, the search name, account type. We can load the account category, whether it's a income or a balance sheet item, and also if it's a debit or credit account. So what we'll do is we'll just load these 7 fields here. So if we close this, and now you can see the number of fields included is 7 out of a total number available of 48. We then simply export to Excel. And save that. And then we can open that up and have a look. I'll just drag that over because it's open on another screen. And there we have it. The selected fields, which was 7 there. I'll just see if we can just make them a little bit bigger. And we have one table that's been exported. If we exported a number of tables, they would all show up here in different tabs. The next step would be to copy and paste the trial balance into the relevant columns here. So in practice, the client would provide you with a trial balance, which you would have helped them populate and given them advice on account numbering and names and account categories. And they would have given you a trial balance ready for you to populate, help them populate the configuration package. So I have an example here. This is one that I use to load onto our demonstration company. As you can see here, we've got the number, the name, search name, account type, account categories, income, balance, and debit and credit. So we have our headings, begin totals, end totals, as I demonstrated earlier on in the video. So now what I would do is just simply copy and paste these into our configuration package. So this table has now been populated, ready for us to save and then load into Business Central. So here we are back in Business Central. So we're now ready to reload that configuration package we just populated. So we go to Excel and import from Excel. Simply drag and drop the saved Excel file. And import the file. So as we can see now that the number of package records is 67. Now the package records have not yet been loaded into Business Central. They're just in a holding area at the moment. So at this point, it's good to validate the package to make sure there's no actual errors, because if there is, we can correct them. So one table has been processed and there is no errors. If we drag it across here, if there were any errors, there'd be the number of errors here marked up in red. So now we can actually apply the package. So Business Central is now telling us that one table has been processed, no errors found, and 67 records have been inserted. So we'll press OK to that. And now we'll go and have a look at the chart of accounts, which should now have been loaded into Business Central. So there you have it. The chart account is now loaded into Business Central, and we can add to that as we need and set up the rest of the system. So that's basically everything I wanted to show you in this video. If you found it useful, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.